The charges against Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu and his defence minister focus on a claim that Israel was deliberately not letting aid in and trying to starve people as part of its war effort. But in one of the number of interviews that he did with American media outlets this week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told CNN's Jake Tapper that the charges are simply absurd.
I think these charges are exactly as President Biden called them. They're outrageous. They're beyond outrageous. This is a rogue prosecutor that has put false charges and created false symmetries that are both dangerous and false. And the first false symmetry is he equates the democratically elected leaders of Israel with the terrorist tyrants of Hamas. That's like saying that, well, I'm issuing, arrest warrants for FDR and Churchill, but also for Hitler. Or I'm issuing arrest warrants for George Bush, George W. Bush, but also for bin Laden. That's absurd. Secondly, the charges are completely false. Let's take this charge of starvation. We've put in 500,000 tons of trucks of food and medicine for this population. We've taken 20,000 trucks. We've paved roads to put those trucks in. We've opened border crossings that Hamas closed down. I've had airdrops that are facilitated, sea route supplies. I mean, the whole thing is absurd.
CNN's Jake Tapper made the point that as well as the ICC, many others have also said not enough was being done by Israel to get aid in, like President Biden, who expressed concerns.
Well, no, we had the same concerns. We were trying to get the aid in. We got the aid in, and Hamas was looting. This was my directive from day one. The day one thing was we have to provide, we comport with international law. We comport with the rules of war. We have to get those trucks in. We're getting hundreds of trucks every day in. And that's been an aspect of our conduct of war, because we try to get civilians out of harm's way. We've done things that no country, no army has done in history. It's not me saying that. It's General Petraeus saying that. The head of the urban warfare at West Point, Colonel John Spencer, says it. Israel's gone out of its way both in humanitarian aid and getting civilians out of harm's way with millions of text messages, millions of phone calls and leaflets that we've been dropping, giving up the element of surprise. Israel is given here a bum rap. I think it's dangerous because basically it's the first democracy that is being taken to the dock when it is doing exactly what democracy should be doing in an exemplary way. I think it will endanger all other democracies. Israel may be first. You're next. Britain is next. Others are next too.
He's right. It's the flow-on effect of this that's troubling. And credit to Jake Tapper at CNN for what was perhaps the most important question of the interview. Watch this.
Let me ask you, because what Hamas did on October 7th, just to make this clear, what Hamas did is abhorrent, as is the refusal to return the hostages. Abhorrent. But whether or not it was Israel's intent, tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians, including countless children, have been killed and maimed by the IDF in your war against Hamas. Is there anything you and the IDF could have done any differently to avoid all the loss of innocent lives in Gaza?
First of all, every civilian casualty is a tragedy. Every child lost, or every woman lost, or every innocent person lost is a tragedy. But for Hamas, it's a strategy. So while we go out of our way to get them out of harm's way, Hamas goes out of its way to keep them in harm's way, shooting at them if they try to leave the battle zones. But many have left. Thankfully, I can say that. Now, the ratio, because of our actions, the ratio of civilians to combatants killed is the lowest in the history of urban warfare, and certainly dense urban warfare like this. It's about 1 to 1.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu said he believes the numbers are also inflated.
And let me tell you, I think that the numbers are also inflated. You know, the UN, the UN organizations that are dominated by Hamas in Gaza is giving false information, as is Hamas itself. And people believe these numbers.
Whatever the numbers are, it's too many.
In the meantime, the lie circles. Well, look, yes, one is too many, but the reason they're there, the reason we have civilian casualties at all, is because Hamas is preventing them from leaving. I'm happy to say that in the Rafah operation that we've conducted, 1 million people actually left. People said, well, there are 1 million people, 1.2 million in Gaza. Where are they going to go? They're going to be trapped. Well, 1,950,000 have already left. And there are very few civilian casualties because we're doing everything to get them out.
That was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking to CNN's Jake Tapper this week in one of a number of interviews he did with US media outlets. Mr. Netanyahu told CNN he has a very clear plan for post-war Gaza, firmly responding to critics who say he doesn't. First, it's to defeat Hamas completely and release the rest of the hostages, which will end the intense part of the fighting, he says. Then he says Israel must have sustained ongoing security forces in Gaza to maintain the peace. Then there will be a Gaza administration set up, made up of local Gazans, the kind who don't want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all of its citizens. They'll run the civilian administration. And he says there will be no Jewish settlements in Gaza. Mr. Netanyahu says he makes no apology for that position or plan, despite there being some dissent from his own opposition. If you like that content, there's a lot more where that came from. This is The Other Side, a show that comes out every Friday night that summarises all the news of the week without the woke, and we would love for you to subscribe and join us. As an Aussie show, your support means a lot to us, so please subscribe here or here and smash that little notification bell, and you can watch a full episode right here.